All right, so we left off on what is a proportion. Hey class, I know it's Thursday. What you're going to do today is you're going to go ahead and watch this lesson video, finish up your notes, and then I might have some Khan Academy assignments, but read on the stream to see more about what specifically I would like you to do. And make sure you also check in for your attendance. And if you haven't done that now, go ahead and pause this video and do that. Last class we talked about what a proportion is, and we also talked about what a ratio is. A ratio is just a number divided by another number, and for an example, we have A divided by B. And so a proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equal to each other. What we're going to do next is a proportion is written as A divided by B equals C divided by D. That would be our proportional relationship. If you're writing it in your notes, go ahead and write it more horizontal, or I'm sorry, vertical, where it's A divided by B equals C divided by D. Now, the next step that we're going to do to solve for any variable within that proportional relationship is we're going to go ahead and set up do the cross product property to be able to solve for one of those values. All right, and I'm going to show you an example here. So we would end up with A times D and then B times C. Over here, we've done this before in the past, maybe not in this class, but in middle school. You would have 4 times 7 and x times 2. So 4 times 7 and x times 2. So 4 times 7 is just going to give you 28 equals x times 2, I can rewrite as 2x, divide by 2, and that gives us 14x. If I'm ever going too fast in a video, you can always pause or even back it up if you need to see something again. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next problem. Now the next problem we have to find x. Oh, also, you can notice the pattern between 4 to 2. We divided by 2. So whatever this value is going to be divided by 2 to become 7. So what would be divided by 2 to get to 7? And that would give us our 14. So sometimes you can see these proportional relationships. I just want you to be cautious because sometimes we can't. Like in the instance for C. If we were looking from 6 to 19, I don't know what I'd have to add or multiply to be able to end up getting from 6 to 19. So that process doesn't work, and that's why we're learning the cross product property. All right, next problem. We have 19 times 12 and 10 times x. All right, so 19 times 12 is going to give us 228 equals 10x. Divide by 2, and that's just going to give us 22.8 equals x. You can always substitute it back in to see if that's going to be an equivalent ratio as well by taking 19 divided by 2, which is 1.9, and then you can take 22 divided by 12, which in my calculator, well, it's not easy to get to here, but you would just take 22 divided by 8, I'm sorry, 22.8 divided by 12, and that would also be 19.2. So you can see that both of those are going to be equivalent to each other. That's another way to see it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at C. So for C is a little different. We have two terms. I want you to always group them in parentheses so that we can keep them together, because when we multiply by 19, it's not just by the first term. We're actually multiplying both of them. So this is going to end up being 19 times x minus 1 equals 6 times 13. So we're going to end up with 19x minus 19 equals 6 times 13, which is going to give you 78. Next step is we're going to go ahead and add 19 to the other side, so that would just be 19x equals 97. Divide both sides by 19, x just equals 5.1. And that is how you would set up and solve for the proportional relationships. All right, what I'd like you to do now is there's a few practice problems. I'm going to have you pause the video, okay, and you're going to go ahead and practice example 1, 2, 3, okay? And then I will come back for example 4, but we'll go over those real quick. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video now, and you're working on 1, 2, and 3. Okay, welcome back. I hope you actually paused the video. If you haven't, no, seriously, pause and try to do this on your own. Because the only way that you're going to learn is if you actually do it on your own. So, here we go. We're going to have, whoop, go away. We're going to have 5 times x plus 4. And I'm going to go pretty fast because you should already have the math done on this one. And if you don't, do it now. Start calling out random people. Come on, Bob. Okay, 19 times 17 is just going to give you 323. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and solve for x. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 20 to both sides. The very first step up here was I distributed 5 to x and 4, so that became 5x plus 20. Subtract that, becomes 0, and I wish I didn't press the little eraser button. There we go. That becomes 0, and we're left with 5x equals 303. Next step is we're going to go ahead and divide both sides by 5, and x is just going to give us 60.6 for the x value. Let's take a look at number 2. Number 2, oh my goodness, so many things happening. Okay, so we're going to cross multiply. We're going to end up with 9 times 10 or 10 times 9, same difference. Okay, and then on this side, remember, if we have 2 terms, we need to go ahead and group those. So that would end up being 20 times 2x minus 9. All right, and we're going to go ahead and distribute that 20 to both terms. We're left with 40x minus 180, okay, equals 90. Now I'm solving for x, so I'm going to go ahead and add the 180 to both sides. And then that's going to end up giving us 270 equals 40x. Divide both sides by 40. And we're left with a decimal of 6.75 equals x. All right, that's as far as you need to go for that cross product. Let's go ahead and take a look at example 3. Now for example 3, again, I see 2 terms. So I'm going to go ahead and group those together with parentheses and cross multiply. So this is going to be 12 times 15 equals 18 times 3x plus 4. Now 12 times 15 is going to give you 180. And over here we're going to distribute that 18 to the 3 and the 4. So when we multiply that out, 18 times 3 is going to give you that 54x, and 18 times 4 is going to give you 72. Next step, I want to isolate x. So if I'm isolating x, subtract the 72 to both sides. And we're left with 54x equals 108. Divide both sides by 54. Once you divide by 54, you're going to be left with x equals 2. Okay, so that's for example 1 through 3. Now, example 4 is a little different, but not by much. Okay, for example 4, notice how the only difference is the fact that we end up having 2 sets of terms that have 2 terms, our 2 binomials. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cross multiply just like we did before, so nothing's different, it's just one added step, and I like to put the number in front, so that's going to end up being 18 times x minus 20. When I say number, I mean coefficient. So then over here we have 3 times x minus 11. Okay, and the next step is we're going to go ahead and distribute that first term to both terms on the inside. 18 times 20, hold on, 18 times 20 is going to go ahead and give us 360, and 3x minus 33. Now whenever we have variables on both sides, this x variable, it's always best to go ahead and move the smallest. So 3 is definitely smaller. The 3 coefficient is smaller than the 18, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 3 so that I end up having a positive coefficient on the other side. This becomes 0, and over here I'm left with 15x minus 360 equals negative 33. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move this constant to the other side. So I'm adding 360 to both sides. And I keep pressing the eraser button. All right, 15x equals 327 after you subtract the 33. And I'm left, and then divide both sides by 15, and you're left with 21.8. All right, so for the next one, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try this on your own and see what you can get, because I think this is the last example. Yeah, so go ahead and pause, work it out, and we will be back in a second after I stop messing with my screen, goodness gracious. All right, you should have paused because I'm going to go ahead and solve it. First step, go ahead and group those binomials together, and we're going to go ahead and multiply or cross multiply our terms out. So we have 6 times 3x plus 3 equals 7 times x plus 16. Next step is we're going to go ahead and distribute the 6 and the 7. This becomes 18x plus 18 equals 7x plus 112. Goodness gracious. All right. Now I do have x variables on both sides, so what I want to do is move the smaller of the two, and 7 is definitely smaller than 18. So we're going to go ahead and move the 7x. This becomes 0. I'm left with 112 on that side, and 18 minus 7 is going to give us 11x plus 18. Subtract 18. 11x equals 112 minus 18, which is going to give us 94. Divide by 11, x just equals 8.5. Now I know I'm talking super fast on this video, but what I want you to do is at any time I'm too fast or I'm going too fast for you, pause it, catch up on your paper, and then that way you can just review the work and see that you got the right answer. And if you didn't, then you can look over the work and either backtrack or fast forward or see exactly where maybe you have something different than I do. But I hope this helps you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. There is one more lesson, so go ahead and take a look at the next video on similar polygons.